Hey fellow trainers, good morning. Welcome to Pokemon TCG Daily, episode 13, Life in Pokemon episode 13. I think that's where we're at. We're hopping into a really exciting match that I got to do last night. This match I did record, so I'm just giving a little bit of commentary and some thoughts and details. But in case you're brand new to my channel, I've been opening up one Pokemon booster pack every single day. And about a week and a half ago, I started bringing back daily gameplay matches as well. This was a really interesting matchup. My opponent had a very interesting deck, some hybrids between some new cards from Celestial Storm, plus a lot of old favorites. And it looked like me and my opponent, was unique about both our decks. We both were playing with cards that are gonna be in the expanded format. We didn't play with any of the cards that are on the ban list. So we don't have Wally, we don't have Hexmania, we don't have Puzzle Time, we don't have any of those cards. So both our decks appear to be, at least from the match that I saw, legal for the upcoming format. So my opponent played with a deck that really was just kind of resolved around like slowing me down. But I was just really impressed with how well my deck was able to hold against and everything that she was throwing at me up until the very, very end. So right away, I was actually pretty happy that Glacieon didn't come out right away. That really opened up a lot of possibilities and gave me at least one turn to at least try to figure out. So here, at least right now, I figure my Exeggcute and my Colress, that'll be a pretty good shot at trying to get something out. And at this point, I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to get my bench stacked. So I can only have 3 Pokemon on my bench right now with that Parallel City being in the way. So I'm really deciding what Pokemon I want to have there. So the 2 Pokemon I think I want out there, even regardless of what happens with the bench, the 3 Pokemon I want out there, I still think I'm going to throw out Zorua, so he can evolve into Zoroark the next turn. Even if his ability gets shut down, Zoroark still has a lot of stopping power. And the thing is, with something like Glacieon GX only attacks for 90, maybe a little bit 100th of choice span. So a lot of the time with Glacieon, you're going to be waiting for 3 turns, and I throw out that Slugma, hoping that I can find where getting that Magcargo, because even with Glacieon shuts down only the GX abilities, so that means that my Sudowoodo stay active. I still get my Exeggcute and I get a test drive Magcargo still. So yeah, this match was a very, very fun matchup. At this point, I kind of figured that my opponent would probably be getting that Glacieon out and I'd be losing abilities and things like that. But right here, already pretty solid starting hand. There was just a lot of things later in the match I wish I would have done just a little bit differently. Right there, that was another thing off the bat too. You just learn things by playing. If you try to play every single day, you pick up on things like, I had no idea that Sudowoodo's weakness. I mean, it makes sense because he's rock type. In the video game, that his weakness was water, and that made perfect sense when he got knocked out there right away, right like that. So something else to be aware of for the future. And getting all of these resources in my hand were pretty good at this time. I figured I could probably get my abilities and stuff back, and I make it some pretty solid plays here. So at this point, I figure the supported card I decided I was going to play for this turn was probably going to be Guzma. I was already thinking, let's go ahead and just switch everything out. I can get Float Stones to be able to get my guys back out here. So what I end up trying to go for, I think the first thing I do go for is Zoroark. I'm trying to remember this is actually a good play here. So I go for my first Skyfield, and at one point I thought I was stacking too many Skyfields in this deck, but with how my deck operates right now, this deck actually is running 4 Skyfields right now at the moment, and every single one actually comes in to save the day. So you're gonna see me. I do end up going for just any Pokemon that comes switch out. I think I end up pulling out that Eevee, so I know that I can at least get one prize card knocked out. So yeah, I end up going for that Eevee. And there's just things I'm trying to be aware of the whole time, just like how many prize cards are left. And at this point, I was trying to think of just ways I could use that Zoroark from the base set Black and White, but I kept thinking that I still think the best bet is gonna be to try to get out the main Zoroark from Shining Legends out.
So I'm happy I'm able to get this Zoroark out. And a couple changes I think I'm already thinking I'm gonna try to make. I don't think I need 4 Exeggcutes in here. I think 3 is plenty. But we'll see. We'll see where things go. And then the next step here after this is that I decide to play 2 Ultra Balls. I'm gonna get a little bit more draw support, play at that Zorua, and then try to grab my next Shaman. But besides all that, you know, this is a good time to kind of talk about other things too. So, you know, in the coming weeks, it's actually going to be really pretty busy. I actually started a new job today, so I'm really excited about that, which is going to be forcing me to get out the videos out really early, so I can try to keep my streak of uploading at least 1 video to YouTube every single day. But yeah, I'm really excited. So both the daily gameplay matches and the booster packs should be coming out before 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That is really my goal, and I'm really going to try to keep that up for the coming year as well. Eventually, I want to maybe, I keep kind of bouncing this up in my head. I really like doing the booster packs, at least recording those, but then I could start maybe doing the daily matches live, maybe even doing some of the booster pack openings live. Here, I figure it's 1 knockout and something I can get started at least, and even if I lose Skyfield, because I figure that my opponent's going to have a lot more parallel cities or ways to discard that Skyfield. So I kind of already anticipate that I will probably have to lose some Pokemon on my bench, which is actually, I'm okay with that, because I've said this multiple times, if any chance, you know, having to discard Pokemon for your bench isn't necessarily a bad thing. If you can discard kind of the weaker guys or anything, like, that is never a bad thing. So whenever I have moments to discard my Shamans or get those guys back into the discard pile or to safety, absolutely do it. So when I saw that Espeon come out, I knew my opponent was going to have that Espeon out, because Glacieon's whole deal is too, Glacieon really only does a medium amount of damage. What Glacieon does a good job at, it attacks your main Pokemon, but then also attacks guys on the bench too. So once you can start evolving guys and things like that too, then an opponent might try to come in with someone like Espeon and EX and try to de-evolve a lot of your guys. That's kind of its thing. There's just some parts, like later in the match, I'm a little sad that, like, some plays that could have been prevented, but I just end up making some poor decisions later on that could have, or some decisions that I realized literally moments after. But that's kind of what you learn about playing the trading card game. I absolutely love Losing Mean. It's a card that I'm really starting to like, that I find out works really well for my deck. So I definitely think this deck will be similar to what it will be for the year. For the year coming up right now where the format is at and where rotation will be, I do think this will be a deck list, something similar I use. Now I lose my Exeggcute. I have Teammates in there. That's another card I could toss out and put in either some more draw support. But I do like Exeggcute, 4 Exeggcutes in there as well. But if I lose Teammates and Exeggcute, what would I put in there? I could probably put in there. Honestly, I think I have 2 Guzmas in here. Nah, I don't need another Guzma or anything like that. But at this point, I'm just trying to figure out how to knock out this bad boy. I don't think at this point Zoroark's gonna get knocked out. I'm just trying to remember some other things that happened too. So at this point, I'm not worried about trying to do big numbers of damage, because I have choice bands and other things in there, especially if I think that Skyfield could get discarded. And there's other things I should have been paying attention to here. I should have really been more, always be conscientious of your opponent's bench. Look in their discard pile, count how many, at this point I should count how many parallel cities my opponent has in there. And things like that. Like I said, I'm aware that my Pokemon that their abilities are shut down at this moment. But I'm thinking that I still have my Exeggcute,
and I still have Macargo for next turn, so I can still place a card at the top of my deck and anticipate to draw something, which is really, really cool, actually, that even since Macargo isn't a GX or EX, and neither is my Exegcute, that I can still take advantage, full advantage of abilities. At this point, I'm just kind of going back and forth what I want to evolve. There's really not a whole lot more I could do. What do I end up going for? Yeah, so I actually do remember what I was doing here, since I recorded this match last night. I do end up evolving that Zoroark into Zoroark, just kind of figuring that throwing out another guy with higher HP might not be a bad play. And then I also put, I think the thing I put at the top of my deck is a double colorless energy, since those are some of the harder cards to find in my deck. I'm just kind of being aware, and like I said, I'm going back and forth. So with the rotation happening, a couple things that we're losing, and you'll kind of see some of those changes, how I'm kind of preparing for those. We're losing a lot of like ways to like recycle things from the discard pile. With puzzle time being gone, we're losing a lot. That is like probably the #1 way. Don't forget to evolve him. Did I forget to evolve him? I forgot to evolve him. We're losing a lot of critical resources for the discard to get things back from the discard pile, so that'll be interesting to see what people do. Like I said, I'm losing Luzamine to get things like back like energy and stuff. We actually have the number ways. We have Super Rod for Pokemon and energy cards. Like I said, that's basic energy though in Pokemon. You still have Rescue Stretcher. I have one of those. And actually, this is a good point here. Like, I thought the wording, you know, you always want to pay attention for the online game. Yeah, the wording for that is really bad. As I'm looking at it, it says choose 2 of your bench Pokemon to keep your other bench Pokemon. Yeah, I don't even remember which ones I clicked. It said choose 2 of your bench Pokemon. So I hadn't actually clicked one of them. I had wanted to keep Macargo and my Zoroark, but with how it was worded, I thought it was gonna have to try like select the 2 Pokemon you wanted to keep. But yeah, I didn't actually mean to do that play there either. I did not mean to do that, and I was very, very sad about that. I wanted to keep Macargo. I would have loved to keep Macargo, and something else, I think another play that I make coming up that could have really changed the tide of the match. So I'll just kind of already explain this now too. I don't know why I didn't think about this sooner. So I don't remember at what point I get. Again, I should have said out tap Lele. If you ever have a guy with a float stone out there, always set out tap. Like, you can always set out a float stone first. What was I gonna say? So yeah, one play I'm really sad. At this point, I've already damaged that Glacieon a fair amount, and I end up switching him out. I should have used Mew's ability once I switched him out. I don't know why yeah, it's right here. At this point, I'm just hoping to get a double colorless energy. I'm already getting towards the bottom of my deck, and I could have knocked out that Espeon. I have no idea why I didn't do that here, but that's why you see these things. Sometimes you only see these things after the fact. I could have got the knockout here right now. I could have used my opponent's ability, and I don't know why. I'm so frustrated at myself that I didn't do this last night. Like I said, some of these matches I try to record the night before if I'm just playing casually while I'm on the phone with friends or something. But I could have knocked out. I realized that mistake right away. The second I made that error, because I kind of just forgot that Mew's abilities were kicked back in. But then I just kind of accepted. I tried to go on with the match, and yeah. But yeah, those were two mistakes I made right there. Having Macargo go and that thing with Mew. Those are two mistakes back to back. And there's the wording for Cyrus, the Prism Star card. It was a little weird for the online game, I thought. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see what else. So how the match, I'll go ahead and spoil now how the match ends up losing. I was actually really happy with how long I stuck in with this match. Eventually I ended up knocking out that Glacieon. But you always got to be careful with with the wording of Pokemon cards. So that Latios out on the field already. I didn't realize that it both did 30 damage. It had a base attack of 30 and also did 30 your opponent's Pokemon. So always read the wording for the new cards, because it only takes one little error to misread things. So at this point too, I'm still feeling pretty good, because I've done 80 damage. I've done 80 damage to my opponent. Yeah, and I do finally end up getting a knockout here. But like I said, there was just a couple places where I made some mistakes. And at this point, I should have been way more careful of the fact that, like I said, my opponent has a guy that can do damage exactly 30 damage to my active Pokemon and my bench Pokemon, which is huge, because those Exeggcutes, that means they can knock out, if they can get out an Exeggcute while they're out on the bench, they can knock whatever they want to out. So here I end up going for a Slugma, and yeah, this is just a good thing to be aware of. If anyone else is running a Zorua egg deck, you gotta be careful with those Exeggcutes. As good as they are, they're really not something you should try to set out on the bench. If you can avoid setting them out on the bench at all costs, yeah, at this point too, had my opponent been able to get anything else, they probably would have won. They would have won the match a couple turns earlier. But had I also not been dumb, yeah, I made some technical errors with right here towards the end, like right at the very end. But I was really happy with how my deck overall. I was happy with how my deck handled up, because these kind of decks can be really frustrating to play against, and I'm really happy with how far I've come with the Pokemon trading card game. I should have just paid a little bit more attention to some of that wording, and then I would have been fine. But at this point too, even here, I'm already thinking about actually ways how I could discard Skyfield so I can get my Exeggcute. I think my Exeggcute, I think she does discard Skyfield one more time. I think that's what happens, and then like I said, I just make the No, like I said, it's really fun. You learn new plays, you learn how just different things in decks work, and that's really good, especially when new cards come out. You know, like that's honestly the biggest tip I have is just play the game as much as possible. And that's where, and then, you know, it only takes one time really to make a mistake like that, or like, and then you probably won't make that same mistake again. I haven't decided how many. I still think one special charge is enough to get those back. And had I been able to get my Macargo back a little bit sooner, I just didn't need to set out all those Exeggcutes coming up. There were so, like here, I think this is the last turn of the match. There are so many other options that could have happened. I think I Battle Compressor. What do I Battle Compressor for? Because I already have Colorless in there. I think I Battle Compressor just to try to thin out my deck a little bit more, because I need to get a double Colorless energy and some more Pokemon. But I probably have another double Colorless in there, and I have my Tapu Lele right there. It was really late when I recorded this match, and I'm already up earlier than I want to be right now. But I headed to work in just a little bit for a new job, so I'm excited about that. Like I said, Colorless is there. Before this, I was having a pretty good win streak, but not a lot of the matches were super interesting. I throw something in there just because I have to with Battle Compressor after playing it, and figure I can get a VS Seeker back. And like I said, I don't know, like I had other Pokemon options. I could have set out both late. Yeah, at this point, what I should have done, I should have just set out both those Tapu Leles, gone for Colress, or whatever, because I was already at the bottom barrel of my deck, but I just figured it was better to try to stack things up, but I was already going to get a lot of draw support. So I really didn't need to do that. I really should have been aware of that Latios. I'll actually start doing my little wrap up here right now. What ends up happening is I try to stack up my bench, but like I said, the one mistake I make is setting out all 4 executes. That no, I should have not done that. I think about one other thing I do too. Another option would have been, if I'm aware of this for the future, would have been to Field Blower out myself, my Skyfield, and just attack that Tapu Koko for with Zoroark with just 5 Pokemon on my bench, and then I could have at least discarded 3 of my Zoroarks. That would have made the match go on a little bit longer. But fellow trainers, this is one of my favorite matches that I've played in a long time. Playing against these kind of decks, like I said, can be frustrating. They're really fun decks to run, and I absolutely loved how well both me and my opponent have played. Like I said, I never come salty about winning or losing, just because matches like this are kind of like what the Pokemon trading card game was about. And even here, right here, I still could have had some options. It would have taken 2 seconds for me to read the card. I could have Field Blowered out my Skyfield. Discarded 3 of my executes, and the match would have gone on longer. But those are the kind of things you see, you take your time to read it, especially when you've been playing for matches that go on for longer, to keep your thoughts clear like that. I mean, at this point, my opponent switches out. My opponent's Guzma's out for an execute and uses Breakthrough, that's a funny attack because Breakthrough is also an expansion too. So, yeah, but fellow trainers, I hope you're having a great day wherever you are. I'm really happy that I'm still keeping these daily matches going. I'm taking the time to make these videos. Like I said, most of these videos for the next week out or so will be up before 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, fellow trainers, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you tomorrow as always.